Alrighty, guys. Okay, so the new POB. Pretty excited about this one. Okay, so I put in a bunch of work, sort of on my time off. My internet's been broken for people that don't know. So I've had no internet for the last 2 days. Decided to update the POB to 3.10. Made a video about it, as in how to progress all your stuff, and made this slightly more interesting, slightly more neat POB. Updated for 3.10. Okay, so what has it got? We now have 3 different versions of the build. So your early game progression, as in level 84. It's actually 82, but doesn't really matter. You know, you just put some life nodes in here. You're all good and stuff like that. Originally, I had them here. It was a mistake. It was in the build. It's fine. People can just work that out on their own. This is your basic, POB tree that you start with. That's one of the features, and you can go through. You can then check out your original endgame setup, which is my current one, and then your endgame with cluster. Now, these are not, the ultimate cluster jewels. They are definitely ones I would recommend. During those lessons, you can get life leech, extra elemental damage is really nice. Blanket in the snow, which is 10% against chilled. Cold-blooded killer, which is just nice for general clearing. You can actually get an additional passives point here as well, which you can put another jewel in, much similar to the ones we normally have, which is life multi. And then you get this other cluster jewel right here. Same thing, we get chilling presence and cold conductivity, or cold conduction, sorry, which allows you to get a small amount of shock. And believe me, you guys are probably really, really going to want this. According to everyone I know, right? This pretty much guarantees shock. You know what I mean? It says enemies chilled by your hits are shocked. Very, very specific there that it says hits. So even though we are chilling presence, remember you still have to hit them and then chill them. I don't know the exact technicalities on this, but from what I can gather, this pretty much means that no matter what, they still, we have to hit them, but then they're already chilled anyway, so it still counts as chill. So believe me when I say that you don't need to hit them to chill them, but you are going to need to hit them to shock them. It's a really, really weird mechanic. Anyway, point is, you're going to really want this, especially when I show you some footage at the end of this. So, you now have what you would do for the cluster tree. You drop all the points up here because, they're kind of useless. We drop a bit of AoE. You may want to get back at the end of the day. We're still using the same hit speed gear and all sort of stuff. Like, same gear, same setup. But, now you can just get through it nice and easy. Here's your progressive setup. Here's your endgame setup. Cluster setup. Whichever one you want to pick. Worth mentioning, this tells you the differences. Extra AoE, extra strength, intelligence, way more life, stuff like that on my version of it. The endgame with clusters has a lot more damage. It has a lot more damage, okay? It doesn't really look it right now, but that's because we're using the early game setup, but also we're using early game gear. So it's, it says 20% more damage. Take that with a grain of salt because that's actually the next part we're going to get into. So the next part, you have a nice little divider between your endgame setup and your beginner setup, including one Koshbury with Lycosidate, there's your Lycosidate setup, and then when you have a second Koshbury, what the links are going to be. It's already explained in my other guide video that I had released earlier today, which is about how to progress your build guide. It is now made ultra easy. Look, they're all level 20 gems or whatever, except for I think my main damage setup, because like I recommend 20, but they're not 21, 20 or anything like that. These are your links. I've taken out all the stuff like inspiration, elemental focus and stuff like that. Like I had them there so that people could test them and play with them. Problem is, people were coming up with some not so great suboptimal kind of setup. So I just decided no more options. It's too hard for people to understand. If I put options there, it only confuses them. So now it's just you follow the build guide, get the damage, you've seen it in action. No ifs, buts, or maybes anymore. Okay, so human error is erased from the equation. You are now copy paste. Okay, what you do now on you copy paste. So we also have the exact same thing with this. So I didn't even realize this was in the game until probably 2 days ago when I actually started thinking about this. But there's an early game and an end game setup. So boom, that's your end game gear. You know what I mean? With your end game stuff, it's all listed out. You even come over here, used in early game, used in early game, used in early game. This is your early game setup. So you have 2 different setups. So you're still going to see these dividers here, right? But I've actually taken the liberty of just making it so that if you wanted to go to the endgame setup, right? You just disable all these. So say you want your early main damage setup, right? You don't want to see that anymore. It's annoying. You disable it, you come up here to your main damage setup, and then you enable this. And this is your big boy damage. You know what I mean? So same deal. But obviously you also have to change it over here because it's still done manually. So we want early main hand damage or whatever. We still want to enable it. This is what your early game damage looks like with your early game gear. The early game gear is obviously just default stuff, so it's just got crafted life on everything, and reses. Slammed in at a medium rate. Still res capped, You're still gonna have no dramas. I'm still on early game. I don't think I should have these jewels active. Oh, sorry, I'm on my endgame tree. That's why. So you still want early game. There's your damage configuration. We do have power charges. We do run flesh and stone the whole time, so they are blind, and we can reliably chill right now. So you can click these three. We are on Shaper Guardian, so there's no BS, no fucking random weird shit, no white maps, no nothing like that. I did it all live for you on stream. Everything is real, you know what I mean? So this is your setups. Say you want to change it or anything like that, you want to play around with it, you know, this is how you would swap to your endgame setup. You know, put yourself on endgame. Okay, so you know, presumably you're level 100, take off whatever points you want to need. We swap to the endgame gear. Made super nice and easy for you guys to do, stuff like that, so you don't have to think about anything. Then you just got to go to skills. We just disable all these. Disable, including the vortex setup, the whole lot. Just disable it. Oh, it takes a little while. Assassin's Mark should actually be up here. I don't know how that managed to get down there. I think it's because once I unactivate the things, so just pay attention to that. That's a bit whatever. Comes up and down sometimes. Then we just enable all these bad boys. But the other thing is too, just make sure that once you're swapping these out, right, that you actually then swap the setter. The divider is purely there for visual, you know, visual clarity, so that you always know that this divider is here. The divider, as you know, literally doesn't do anything. It's just an idea I came up with that I actually really, really like, and I'll probably use going forward, especially if I need to ever explain this stuff to people again. Then you're on your main damage setup, and boom, all of a sudden you're at the damage we had before with the same tree and stuff like that. So we want to swap to the cluster one. Now we know that we get an extra 16% more damage, but we lose 600 life. But bam, that's what it looks like with cluster jewels. So you can feel free to swap these up with whatever cluster jewels you feel is necessary, whatever things you think is, you know, is really cool. So that is how you can use the new POB. It is made super easy, super comprehensive. It's written up, you know, really, really nice. I don't currently have any notes on it, you know what I mean? Just tells you I leveled as Orb of Storms, Wave of Conviction. I may add some more notes down the track. I may update this some more. You still do have upgraded gear. So obviously, you know, I've got my weapon pens on there and stuff like that. You've got the regular one here. You know, you still got the one right there, which is obviously that. You got your Lycosidate, regular Carcass Jack versus Carcass Jack with +3. You know, Tabula Rasa there and stuff like that. Just to show you guys what you can do. You can still move these in and out however you see fit. Do whatever you need to. I've already explained, you know, what you take off the tree, what you need to do, what you can balance it out. There is also a super nice feature, this elusive Crimson Jewel, okay? So whenever you need to test this, right? We've always got this Maraketh one open or whatever. Say you need to tell exactly where your attack speed's at. You go to Cyclone, right? You're like, oh, yeah, okay, so I'm at 0.39. I put in the, you know, elusive jewel, and it just simulates exactly where your attack speed's going to be at, roughly speaking. That's all it does. It's just like a little pre-programmed thing. Helps people out. It's quite nice. So this one, you know, just barely makes it. Obviously on my one, I think I have a bunch more. Maybe? Oh, hold on. I gotta actually put the gem back on. Exclusive. Okay, I don't know why it's telling me it's a lot lower than it is, but that's fine. It really doesn't bother me too. Oh, that's right. It's because I don't have my traditional one. I just went life multi. As you guys know, I have a life multi attack speed one. Point is, we hit the bracket we need. You don't need to go too far above or too far below. We already know about all these kind of points, so you can play around with this as much as you'd like. Much neater, much easier to understand, much more comprehensive and stuff like that. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed the new POB. Now I'm going to give you like a little bit of a spoiler here on what's to come up. So a lot of people love, you know, Herald of Ice. I can't seem to get people to get over it. I don't think it's that great. People love Explosion Chest. I've already explained before. The problem with Explosion Chest is generally we can't then get +3 levels. +3 levels adds a tremendous amount of damage. We have now found a solution to that. So obviously we're going to go to our cluster jewel setup here, all right? And there's the fact that we can now always shock. By always being able to shock, I happen to know a chest piece that happens to be super fantastic, which I'll go link to now, which actually lets you explode enemies that are shocked. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. It's obviously impulses. So impulses now allows us to explode enemies and still get +3 pretty reliably because it's a unique chest piece, and we still get the life. We drop a little bit of AoE, doesn't really matter that much. The AoE comes from Ice Nova being huge in the first place, and multiple instances of it, including from Frozen Trail. So really, you know, we can drop the AoE, we lose like a small amount of damage, but we gain shock, we gain explosions, therefore all your problems are solved. Now, I've also got some footage provided by someone I had do this in League. So this is not my character or whatever, but this is a character that has been geared rather reasonably, and you can see the explosions. This solves everyone's, dramas about, like, I need explosion chest for some reason. I need it so bad.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
I think it's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
But you're going to make up for that by the fact that you have to use cluster jewels. Cluster jewels are more damage. You are going to lose life, though. So, sacrifice of life for cool explosions. Up to you, There is no right or wrong way to do this. But in my opinion, that's the way to go. Also, people worried about the power charge we drop here. We literally just get it here. I might even consider just maybe doing this in my actual build now. It might actually save me some points, to be honest. I don't believe it does because I go up here and get this gem anyway. But I may play around with the tree a bunch more. So there might even be a more optimal setup. Sounds crazy, but anyway, this is the trees we've landed on. This is some of the thought process we've had. Hope you guys enjoy this. So, like, a lot of work went into this. A lot of, probably 2 or 3 days worth of work. Obviously, my editing isn't that great, but that's fine. The point is, now that you guys have a lot to work with, it should be super comprehensive and stuff like that. Super coherent would also be nice. But yeah. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the updates. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. Have a good one, fellas. Peace out.